It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of March 20th, 1992. We've got 5 movies to look at today, so let's go ahead and jump right on into it. And we'll start off with the first movie that we have here, probably the best of the newest releases that came out this week, and that is, of course, Michael Douglas and Sharon Stone in the erotic thriller Paul Verhoeven's Basic Instinct. Now, we've kind of talked about erotic thrillers in the past couple of years. Most of them have not been very good, and I've always brought back this movie in particular because, really, it is probably the best erotic thriller that that's ever come out, honestly. One of the best ones, at least. But, yeah, in terms of what the movie was trying to do, it was trying to tell a story, but also it's also tantalized a lot of sex in there. This is one of the prime examples of a movie that really has stood the test of time, kind of, because it's a movie that's held up over 30 years later. It's a movie that isn't afraid to go as far as it can go, and it isn't afraid to tell a good story here. There's a good story to tell here. There's a good mystery around this, because honestly, you can look at this, and the trailers kind of make you figure it's going to be Sharon Stone who's the killer, and really that's not quite the case. The twist in here is actually kind of good. I actually like what they kind of did with that. And the movie also benefits from the performances by Sharon Stone and Michael Douglas. Both of them have this great chemistry. They work off each other so well. And Sharon Stone really does show that she does have a lot of good acting chops here. She really plays this temptress role very well. The sex scenes are legitimately well done. They're shot very well. They do the job that they need to do. Of course, the most famous scene in the movie is a little bit gratuitous, but you know what? In terms of what the character is doing in that scene, it works for her. It works well enough. It works to the story, and it does make you get more invested into what's going on with the story and these characters. And like I said, the mystery here is really good. There's a good mystery involved here. Not everything about it works. Some of it's very dated. Like, it feels very... Some of the character development isn't as strong, but the performances are what make it stand out more, and also the great score by Jerry Goldsmith, the editing in here, the cinematography by Jean de Bont. A lot of elements here really do work. It's a movie that's very much giving you what you asked for and then some. The mystery aspect is very good. You get so invested in what's going on, and you do wonder how it's going to end, and it does a very good job of handling all those fronts. It's a movie that's really good. I can't recommend this movie enough. This is probably one of the few erotic thrillers that I would highly praise, because it is really good. It's not just a TNA show. It actually is a movie that's showing you something more than what you think it's going to show you. And it's a really good film. It's a very good film. I can't recommend this movie enough. Definitely check out Basic Instinct if you can. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Woody Allen's Shadows and Fog. So here's kind of another example of a movie that's trying to be two different things, but really it can't do it in this case. In this movie, you can tell the movie's trying to go for some kind of German expressionism parody, but it's also trying to mix it with a screenplay by Woody Allen, and his typical writing style doesn't really fit with the movie here, and it definitely shows on screen. There's not really a whole lot there in terms of like weight or entertainment value here compared to Allen's other works. It just feels very forgettable and really just not enjoyable in the slightest whatsoever. And this is one of those movies that has a great cast involved. There's a huge cast involved in this one. Besides Allen, you have Kathy Bates, you've got Philip Bosco, John Cusack, Mia Farrow, Fred Gwynne, Julie Kavner, William H. Macy, Madonna, John Malkovich, Kenneth Mars, Kate Nelligan, Donald Pleasance, James Rebhorn, John C. Reilly, Wallace Shawn, Kurtwood Smith, David Ogden Stiers, Lily Tomlin. A big cast involved in this, but really, unfortunately, there's just nothing there for anybody to do. I mean, it's a movie that really is it's just another Woody Allen movie, but it's not the type of Woody Allen movie that makes a great Woody Allen film. It's one of those movies where it just feels like he's just making a movie to have another movie come out. And also note, this is actually one of the last one that he did for Orion Pictures, because around this time, Orion Pictures was going into bankruptcy, and so most of his films moved over to Columbia Pictures at that point, because he'd have another movie out this year called Husbands and Wives, which would receive much better praise than this movie did. And we'll get to that one when we get to that one. But as far as this movie goes, Yeah, it's just not a very good movie. It's a very underwhelming film. Not one of Woody Allen's best films, unfortunately. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie that we have here. It's another one of those ensemble screwball comedies. We've gotten a couple of them in the last couple of weeks. We had Once Upon a Crime, and then we had Blame It on the Bellboy. Will the third time be the charm with Noises Off? Yeah, not so much. I mean, I'll give it credit. It's a little bit better than Once Upon a Crime or Blame It on the Bellboy, but that's really not saying a whole lot here. You've got a great cast in here, including Michael Caine, Carol Burnett, Christopher Reeve, John Ritter, Mary Lou Henner, Nicolette Sheridan, Julie Haggerty, Marklyn Baker. This actually also has Denholm Elliott in one of his last roles before his death in October. It's directed by Peter Bogdanovich too. It's one of those odd comedies where I think they probably thought that Peter Bogdanovich could make a comedy that would equate to a success to his other works. This is the man who also did stuff like The Last Picture Show, What's Up Doc, Paper Moon, Nickelodeon, Mask. We already talked about Texas Film on a previous episode. But the movie overall just comes up very short. There are funny moments in here, and I think they're very few and far between. I think the movie tries a little too hard to capture the spirit of the play that this is based off of, the Broadway musical that this is based off of. Not even a Broadway musical, the Broadway version of this. But I'll give it this though. Like I said, it does have funny moments in it. They're very few and far between though. The cast does okay, but the biggest problem with the film is that the story never finds the common ground to make itself work on the whole. Like, how do I put this? Try to imagine Birdman before Birdman is only not as well put together and without those breakthrough brilliant performances that Birdman had, and a much lighter sense of comedy on it. In a way, it kind of reminds me of the Broadway equivalent to Soap Dish, but Soap Dish was another movie that was much better than this. So, I don't hate this movie, but overall, it doesn't really have enough there to really recommend it. Some funny moments there. The cast does what it can with the script given to them, but it's definitely one that's not going to hurt you to skip over. So that's Noises Off. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Edward II. So I guess this is kind of a modernized version of the story by Christopher Marlowe. It does say that it is staged in a postmodern style, using a mix of contemporary and medieval props, sets and lighting, and all that kind of stuff. And there is more of a focus on the gay content here. It's more brought into the focus of this movie, notably by adding a homosexual sex scene and depicting Edward's army as gay rights protesters. So, I guess it is kind of a modernized story, but unfortunately, I haven't seen this movie, so I can't really comment on it. But I have seen some of the reviews on here. It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I'm guessing it's a movie that's very well regarded as a good film. But I'm not too familiar with this director's work, Derek Yarman. I think this was one of his last films he directed before he I can't. Let me just see real quick. Did he die or did he? Well, he died about 3 years after this movie came out. So I guess this was one of his last films he made. So I really do not know anything about his work. So like I said, I can't really comment on this too much. But it came out this weekend, so I might as well bring it up here. So that's Edward II. Let's go ahead and move on to our last movie here, and that is the documentary American Dream. So this is a documentary about the unsuccessful Hormel strike of 1985 and 1986, where I guess this union went on strike, and in the end, it failed miserably to get exactly what they wanted, or at least that's what this trailer is implying, and that's what it is on the Wikipedia page. This is another one of those movies I haven't seen before, but it does very much intrigue me. I do like this idea that we get to see how these people try to strike to get whatever they want in this union, and how does the company handle it, and you see the two sides going at each other, and it is a very unique looking trailer from what I see here for a movie that does look very interesting, and yeah, it does look like an interesting documentary. I need to look more into the details on this particular strike and see what happened, but judging by this trailer, there is a lot of interesting ideas here, interesting situations here that I do kind of want to see more about. This is one I might definitely check out later on down the road, but as it is right now, it's a pretty good looking trailer. It's a movie that I'm very curious about, so Maybe one day I might actually do a review of it on the website. But yeah, it's definitely got my interest in it. American Dream. So on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll wrap up March of '92 with another great comedy from the early part of the year. Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson in White Man Can't Jump. We also have Rodney Dangerfield in the soccer comedy Ladybugs. Moira Kelly and D.B. Sweeney in the ice skating comedy The Cutting Edge. We also have The Power of One, Ruby, and also Roadside Prophets. So 6 movies to look at next time, and we will definitely delve into those films. So with that said, though, thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching, I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.